This is Dr. Dave Kirkpatrick from Quantum Techniques, the most effective and comprehensive form of energy medicine currently available. And I want to talk today about something that comes up all the time in our work, and that is viruses. I want to give you some understanding of why viruses are so common, how they impact the whole process, how the fact that not all viruses are bad. We think of viruses, we think of the cold virus, the flu virus, the herpes viruses, dealing with cold sores, with chicken pox, with shingles, with Epstein-Barr and chronic fatigue. We think of hepatitis virus, HIV, Ebola. These are generally things to be dreaded, and viruses have often been associated with cancer, particularly the human papillomavirus, hepatitis B and C, and the Epstein-Barr virus. So viruses have a bad name, and they come up very, very often. And part of that is it's important to understand how viruses are different. Viruses are not living things. They're not self-sufficient. When the body discovers a bacteria, which is a living organism, it can kill the bacteria, because the bacteria is designed to be a self-sufficient organization. The virus invades a cell and alters the DNA of the cell to replicate more of its own, but it can't operate outside of the environment that it has invaded. And so when the body deals with it, it can make the virus latent, it can make it inactive, but because it isn't living to begin with, it can't kill the virus. So viruses are small, they're very common, they're all over the place. It's very common to find a virus. And viruses, of course, are not treatable with antibiotics. Maybe a slight overstatement, but by and large, people have overprescribed antibiotics for viruses, have little effect, and that, along with the use for animal feed and leaching into the water supply, have led to the creation of antibiotic-resistant bacteria by the overuse of the antibiotics. So that's certainly not something that we want to replicate. It's important to also know that while most viruses are very small, some of them, particularly the herpes viruses, are large, and they can hide things underneath them. They can keep the body, it's like a curtain, they can keep the body from seeing what is there. And in quantum techniques, we say what the body can see, the body can heal. But if it can't see past this virus, then it can't heal it. So one of the tasks that we have is to uncover the virus and to see what's underneath it. That's why, in many cases, viruses are so key to our work. But viruses aren't all bad. There are at least two ways that I'm aware of, and probably many more, in which viruses are very, very helpful. The first is what's called lateral gene transfer, which isn't terribly relevant to us, but it's a virus invades a cell and it changes the DNA, and that's been part of the whole process of evolution. Many forms have evolved more rapidly than they would have by natural selection because viruses come in and alter the DNA, which with natural selection has sped up the whole process of evolution. That's more long-term. What's much more important for our work in terms of health is what are called bacteriophages. These are viruses whose whole purpose is to control and eliminate certain bacteria. They are the most common form available on the planet. There's supposedly 10 to the power of 31 bacteriophages, and that's more than all the other entities combined. They're small, so it's probably not as heavy, but there are more of them than all of the other forms combined, according to at least some reporters. So bacteriophages are very common. What's most relevant for us is the presence of bacteriophages in our mucous membranes. Our mucous membranes, the surface of the mucous membranes have a huge number of bacteriophages, and they are there to protect those membranes from invasion by bacteria. It's becoming evident that it's a major part of our whole immune system. So we want to do something that affects negative viruses, but we don't want to do something that affects the bacteriophages. Just as with antibiotics, we clearly need to use antibiotics when some bacterial infection is totally out of control, but we want to limit the effect on the microbiome. So I have a list of 25 different natural approaches to dealing with viruses. And what I've started doing is not just testing how effective each remedy is against the viruses that people have, but also seeing if it has a negative impact on the bacteriophage, which we don't want, and factoring that into the consideration of what would be best for the long-term health of the person. If they can get adequate support without something, many of the remedies do not affect the bacteriophage, but some do. So they may want to omit some of the more effective remedies to get the better overall result and not have a negative impact on the bacteriophage. That's a great thing to call us up. If you have a virus, we can test to see which natural remedies will be helpful, which remedies will be effective against the particular virus you have, and which remedies won't have a negative effect on the bacteriophage. So, with that, I wish you good health and good day. Thank you.